2016 RAM EcoDiesel Laramie. Just recently picked this up. Very nice interior, obviously cared for. It was actually deleted when I got it. EGR is still here, but DEF and DPF are deleted. Condition that I got it in is a crank, no start. So we've been looking into lots of different things. Fueling, seems like it's getting fuel. Reluctor wheel in the transmission is a common issue on these. But before we go any further with diagnosing, I'm tearing this intake manifold off. That way we can get a good look at the valve train and do a compression test. Because while it does somewhat run with some starting fluid, it certainly won't stay running. So yeah, we're just tearing into it. Gonna do a compression test. We really hope that this is good. I picked this up for $7,000. Those of you who know these trucks know that this one in particular is probably around a $18,000 to $20,000 truck. It's only got 78,000 miles and it's already mostly deleted, which is actually a plus. All right, we're back with the RAM EcoDiesel. We're draining coolant right now. I'm taking off the whole front end of this thing. I'm hoping that the intercooler, condenser, and radiator will stay on their own separate brackets so that once I get all the lines connected, I can just disconnect the bracket. I think it has 2 bolts here that you have to access from the backside. And then, 3 down here. I don't see much else other than it's connected right here. So there's a bolt here you have to take off. Same thing on the other side from what I can tell. But yeah, I know I kind of stopped filming. The last thing you saw was like we were going to do a compression test. Well, we did do the compression test and we've determined that basically, well, besides the one that we can't test because there's a freaking glow plug stuck in it, because they like to break off in there. So that's a whole nother challenge in itself. But we have 0 compression on the whole bank. We have a little bit of compression in cylinder 1 of this one, none in cylinder 2, and I can't test the last one on this bank because the glow plug's also stuck in there. I do have the intake manifold pulled off. As you can see, this is so covered up in soot and stuff, because even though it, well, oh yeah, okay, not all of them have a swirl valve is what those are called. I was tripping for a second. I was like, why is there no flap here? Yeah, so that, obviously these engines get like so much carbon buildup on them. But yeah, and this wiring harness entire thing has to come off in order to even access the intake manifold to get it off. And there is bolts back here. That's why I pulled off the horn of the turbo. And then there's another one right here that was actually a pain to get to because the throttle body was in a way. So I had to take the throttle body off. Pretty soon here, I'm gonna pull all the injectors. I'm gonna look in there with the boroscope and see if I can find any visible damage to the cylinders or cylinder walls, or pistons, I mean. And yeah, we'll end up going from there. But what a pain in the ass these engines are to work on. We can thank Maserati for that, or Stellantis, whatever parent company in Italy came up with this garbage to put in an American truck. But they are actually good little motors when they're running good. They're amazing on fuel and got all the torque. So yeah, we will pick back up. All right, we are in my shop right now. It's about 11 o'clock at night and we just finished up everything. Put the timing covers back on after we put the engine in time using the tool. Everything was in time, did the tensioners. There's plenty of videos on that, so I didn't video that part specifically, but I will show you the RTV I used, which doesn't seem to have any issues. I mean, they say to use the Mopar stuff, but the Mopar stuff is gray. This is gray. I've used this on previous cars, the Permatech stuff, because it's the only stuff you can find at the stores. And it seemed to work great. No leaks as of now that I can see, but I just cranked this thing over, got all the air out of the system, and it finally fired up. And it was running like it was, you know, it sounded amazing. I mean, we'll see what the previous people did in here. I hope to God that if they did do main bearings or something, had the bed plate off, whatever they were doing, I hope to God that, you know, they knew what they were doing, because clearly they didn't know what they were doing when they got to the timing. Although, you know, you do need the Chrysler tool, so I can kind of understand maybe their logic when they were timing this motor. But after, God, hours and hours and hours of trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing, it was the engine timing chain. The camshafts were 180 out. And now it runs. I just can't believe it. It sounds amazing. And it runs. Little update, I haven't driven this truck on the road yet, but I've given it some run time. Right now, as you can see, I'm trying to clear out the cooling system with using just distilled water, cycling it in, burping the system using this, so all the air comes out of this funnel. No coolant leaks yet, but I haven't built pressure in the system, obviously, since I haven't put the cap back on. And then I've just been draining it into that bucket until it comes out clear. It's starting to come out more and more clear. And then we'll put coolant in it after we get the EGR delete kit. I'll put the actual OAT coolant, the purple stuff that Mopar recommends. But right now we have negative 40 degrees for our coolant temperature sensor at all times, which is what it defaults to when it senses a short or an open circuit or something. So I did the easiest thing first, and I replaced that sensor, which is right there, that brass looking sensor. Replaced that, and still nothing. I prodded the pins and we're getting no voltage to that sensor. So right now we're gonna dig into the wiring and see if we see a break or something in the actual wiring. My guess is that if there is one, it's probably gonna be down in this cover, because when you put this cover on, it's possible that somebody previously pinched the wire with the CP4 pump cover and caused it to short. So we might have to pull that back off, which is kind of a pain in the ass when you have the radiator and everything put back. But the truck's running good. We filled up the transmission fluid. These ZF transmissions have a little bit of a funny fill procedure, but basically you should jack up the rear end because it sits at a sloped angle like this. So you're gonna wanna jack up the rear end so that your transmission pan level is flat. And then there's a plug right there. When the trans is cold, you'll pull that plug and you'll fill it up until it starts to leak out that top plug. Close it back up, turn on the truck, go through all the gears, get the fluid pumping around. And when it's at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit transmission temp, you'll open it back up with the truck still running, and you'll pump more fluid in there until it starts to flow out once more. And then you'll zip that plug back on, then shut off the truck, and then you're good to go. Your level's correct. Other than that, yeah, we're just trying to get this coolant temperature sensor running because I don't want to drive this thing around on the road with that reading 0. That's kind of important to know. All right, fellas, so we found the problem. The wires were actually completely broken right by the high pressure fuel pump cover, just like I thought. So yeah, when you guys are taking off this high pressure fuel pump cover and changing out your pump or whatever you're doing, when you put that back on, make sure that the coolant temperature sensor wire is out of the way because it can very easily get smashed between this and the pump on that side.